संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। श्री रामकृष्ण देव, श्रीमती शारदा देवी और स्वामी जी के चरणों में, स्वामी विवेकानंद के चरणों में वंदन करते हुए सभी श्रोता जनों का अभिवादन है। 3 दिन के सेमिनार का आज प्रथम दिन है। सबसे पहले पूज्य स्वामी ईश्वरानंद जी महाराज जो यहाँ के सचिव है, उनको मैं विनती करूँगा, वो स्वागत करेंगे और प्रस्तावना करेंगे।
जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरु पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। Today you all are welcome here in this campus. Many of you are new also here, might be coming for the first time, or few of you might have attended Madam's program before also. Just I want to give a brief about the place you are at present you are here. This is the place sanctified by the stay of Swami Vivekananda in 1892 in April. After the passing away of his Guru Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Deva, he, as a wandering monk moving around India, when he came to Gujarat and to Vadodara, he stayed for a few days here in this bungalow. Just opposite is our meditation hall. And from 2005, this center has started functioning, has become the branch of Ramakrishna Moth and Mission. And from that day, various activities are being conducted. Of them, one of the many activities, the spreading of the ideas, the value education work for the students, what we are doing. At the same time, we see that the enlightened citizens or the citizens of the Vadodara should get some stuff, some good ideas, good thoughts. And I'm glad to inform you that Dr. Usha Vasthare is here with us for 3 days seminar. Just give a brief about, Prakash Bhai will tell about her biodata and other things, but just I want to introduce a few things which is not in the biodata. She is a devotee of Ramakrishna Deva, in a way giving all what she is having with her at present, giving it for the service of the Thakur, spreading the ideas in the society, especially in the corporate world. And she is initiated devotee of Ramakrishna Mission, initiated by Revered Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj, by Revered Swami Smaranandaji Maharaj. And she stays at present at Bangalore and was there for 17 years in Philadelphia as a neuroscientist. And last year also we had her program here, 3 days seminar. Before that also we used to conduct such seminars. Today's topic is Evolved New You, and a small caption is Now and Here. So I think this 3 days seminar will give us a good insight into the topic and how our day-to-day life can be enriched by taking certain tips what she would be giving. And hope it will help us for our inner journey, for developing our inner self. And I pray to Ramakrishna Dev, Ma Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda that this seminar will be a new eye-opener for us in this field. With this, once again I welcome Dr. Usha Vasthare on behalf of Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Memorial, Vadodara. Thank you.
Profile of Dr. Usha Vasthare. Dr. Usha Vasthare is a reputed neuroscientist, having served as a faculty at Temple University School of Medicine, Philadelphia, USA for a period of 17 years. She is the founder of Yogakshema Rehabilitation and Wellness Center, She accomplished her BSc with a gold medal and MSc with a rank. She obtained her ph.D. from Mysore University in the year 1981. Dr. Vasthare has published over 70 research papers, abstracts in reputed journals, and contributed to books used for medical education course. Through her talks and workshops, she has been educating people about the working of the mind through a combination of recent neuroscientific research and scriptural knowledge, encompassing the message of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda. Dr. Vasthare has conducted over 1,000 such events. She is an ardent devotee of Sri Ramakrishna Ashram for many years, as Swamiji said. Dr. Usha Vasthare's audience come from all stations and walks of life, ranging from professionals, homemakers, and corporate executives to survivors of chronic illness and their caregivers. To such audiences, she introduced positive psychology, practical and scientific method to lead a holistic spiritual life, guidance on stress management, non-pharmacological treatment of depression and anxiety. Along with this, importance of interpersonal relationships, building resilience, mindful leadership, cognitive behavior therapy, mindfulness, mindful living, palliative care, and healthy living are her central theme of the talk. So on behalf of all of us, I welcome Dr. Usha Vasthare once again and invite her to speak on first day of 3 days seminar on Evolve a New You, here and now. Please.
ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोर्श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। My loving pranams at the feet of the Holy Trio. My loving pranams to revered Swami Ishtamayananda Ji and the monks of Ramakrishna order and seekers of knowledge. It's truly a blessing and an honor to be back again to share the joy of understanding science from a spiritual angle and spirituality from a scientific angle. And my personal interest in this is not just from an academic perspective or from a philosophical perspective, but from an implementation angle. So how do we implement this understanding in our daily lives? In this regard, our Swamiji here has given this broad theme of evolve a new you, and this is such an all-encompassing and embodied theme. It is really very easy and meaningful to incorporate and implement in our daily lives. But before that, a couple of quotes from Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. As we all know, the very first thing Sri Ramakrishna would say, the goal and purpose of human life is God realization. That's a very tall order for me. That I'm going to leave to the Swamijis of Ramakrishna order. However, the next two quotes, that sayings of Ramakrishna that I have chosen in this context is, he says, as long as I live, so long do I learn. He is asking us to be lifelong learners. This is nothing but, from a scientific angle, we say having a growth mindset or an evolving mindset. And the next aspect of Sri Ramakrishna is about harmony. We all know this. In fact, there is a book by that title, The Great Prophet of Harmony, Sri Ramakrishna. And the first thing that comes to our mind about harmony is about harmony of religions. But he stood much more than just harmony of religions. It's harmony of East and West, old and new, and much more. But for me, I would start at an individual level. Harmony of our thought, our word, speech, and our actions. What they say in Sanskrit, kaya, vacha, manasa. Even if we just take this one thing, that is plenty. So starting of harmony at an individual level, and then seeing harmony within the family, within the community, within the organization, within a city, state, country, and at the level of humanity. And how? How do we relate these sayings of Sri Ramakrishna in a scientific way, and how do we relate this to our own selves to be evolving? We will see in the next 1 hour or so. And one quote of Vivekananda comes to my mind is that religion is the idea which is raising the brute unto man and the man unto God. This is nothing but evolving. Different terminologies, but this is the core and essence of evolving as human beings. So we will keep this quote and sayings of Sri Ramakrishna throughout the next 2 days and see how we can keep relating these three sayings to be evolving on a day-to-day basis. So we have chosen 3 topics to be evolving to become a new us. The first day I'm going to be covering about caregiving. How do we evolve as caregivers? Tomorrow we'll cover how do we develop an attitude of gratitude, and through developing an attitude of gratitude, how can we evolve? And the third day is nothing but, if I have to say it in a very scientific way, the mechanism of action of evolving as human beings. That is, we evolve in this moment, the present moment, here and now, now and here. We will see this, how we can develop these 3 aspects in the next 2 days. As we evolve, we need to make sure that we actually enjoy this process of evolving. We cannot evolve with a negative attitude. We cannot evolve having hatredness and anger within us. So can we make path as the goal? and journey as the destination, so we can enjoy the process of evolving. So today, as I said, we're going to cover the aspect of caregiving. Some of you might recognize this comic, Peanuts, by Charles Schulz. He has character of Snoopy the dog and Charlie Brown. And especially Snoopy comes up with very profound knowledge, again, with little things. And see what Charlie says. He says, someday we will all die. And Snoopy says, yes, that's true, but on all the other days, we will be living. Death is a stage in life, and many a times, especially when we are caring for others, if there are elders or if we are senior citizens, that is one thing that is hanging on our mind. But yet, that is just one stage in life. The rest of the lives we have for ourselves, to live life, to be evolving, and to have zest for life. And the neatest thing is, about evolving, it is not a stage to reach when we look at it from a scientific perspective, but it is from a moment to moment to moment basis. To such an extent that even if we are on the deathbed, it is possible to be evolving. So keeping this in mind, little introduction, if we really look into our lives, either we are caregivers, we are caring for somebody, or we ourselves are patients, and sometimes we are both. We have certain health issues, and we have to take care of somebody else who has certain health issues. And if we are neither a caregiver nor a patient, then it's a very short stage. There are certain youngsters that I see here, maybe in their lives for a short period of time. Otherwise, if you look at it, either we are caregivers or patients or both. With this short introduction, the rest of the 1 hour, this is the flow that is going to be. So we will see how we need to make a paradigm shift when we look at caregiving as a way to evolve. And no talk of mine goes without this quote, which is extremely significant for all our lives. What is that? If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. What do I mean by that with respect to caregiving? I think we have to take care of our elders or youngsters, whoever is sick. I mean, this is the way of life. This is how we think. But can we make a shift that rather than just going through life through caregiving, we can actually evolve through this process of caregiving? And not only that, we don't have to just be caregivers, we can actually be healers. I'm not talking about curing. Curing of symptoms can happen through the doctors, through prescriptions and whatnot. But true healing happens not by prescription or by surgical methods. It has to happen at different levels, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. And for that, we don't need any extra medicine or surgery to be healing, either for ourselves or to be healers for others. So can we make a shift from, rather than just taking care of somebody at home who might have certain health conditions, can we become healers? This paradigm shift has to happen within ourselves. So before we go actually into a caregiving itself, there is one particular prerequisite or a condition, a precondition for caregiving, which is, rather than focusing on caretaking or caregiving, we have to focus on taking care of ourselves. This is the prerequisite. As I say, that we believe that the greatest gift one can give for themselves and for the family and the world is that healthy person. Which means we need to be taking care of ourselves first. If we don't take care of ourselves, we will never be able to take care of the way we want our own loved ones. So self-care has to be the primary focus. We will see why and how to do that. The importance of self-care. We know when we travel, when we fly, the oxygen mask priority, right? They say first you need to put the oxygen mask in case of emergency. You might have a little kid, but first you need to put the oxygen mask is the instructions that they give. So it is the same thing, oxygen mask priority for ourselves who are caregivers. First we need to take care of ourselves before we can actually take care of others. Extremely important. Whether we are caregivers at a professional level or at a personal level at home. Either way, because we will see how, even though we know this is not what we usually do. So let us dig little bit deeper into this oxygen mask priority and understand why it is so important. Why? Why oxygen mask priority? You know, being a caregiver is highly rewarding, no doubt about it. Either to take care of our loved ones or at a professional level for that matter. However, even though it is rewarding, it will be highly stressful too if we don't understand certain things about caregiving. So caregivers usually face very high levels of chronic stress, and that leads to intense emotional ups and downs. I'm sure we have all faced this, either taking care of others or if we are being taken care of, how sometimes or many a times the emotional ups and downs. So this is one of the reasons that we need to take care of ourselves, and even more than that, when we focus on others while we take care of our loved ones, many a times and most of the times we neglect our own health. We neglect ourselves. This is one of the common things that happens. And we give so much importance to taking care of others, but not of ourselves. And statistics shows that most of the caregivers are women. This is what we call it as a sandwich generation. Women have to take care of some of the elderly people at home and also their own kids. They're sandwiched between two generations. And on top of this, sometimes they have to go out and work also. So, with all of this, now we are kind of convinced why we need to take care of ourselves as caregivers. If we don't do that, this is what we call as a caregiver burnout. As you see, emotional ups and downs, either depression or anxiety, and memory loss, hard to focus and concentrate because of the stress of caregiving. And we feel helpless and hopeless. This is like the ultimate stage. Neither can we help others, but we just go through the routine, go through the life of everything, taking care. Ultimately, it leads to extreme tiredness, which we call that as fatigue. This is not just tiredness or fatigue that you can overcome by sleeping, having a good night's sleep 1 or 2 days. No, it is not, especially when it's a chronic stage. And so it's often the result of long-term, untreated and unchecked chronic stress. So then what? What is the solution for burnout? As I've been saying, it is nothing but self-care. Self-care at the physical level, at the emotional level, nutritional level, and spiritual level. We know we need to bring the cholesterol down, or maybe few pounds of overweight. We know we need to exercise or go for walks, but that is where we kind of neglect ourselves. And nutritional aspects, this is one thing that is very common: emotional eating or not eating, so that either you gain few pounds or you lose few pounds by not having proper nutrition. And sleep, for that matter. Sleep affects our mental health, for physical health, and definitely leads to stress, not having enough sleep. And the spiritual aspect, many a times we just go through it in a mechanical way. All of this, when it is not taken care of properly, is what leads to burnout. So now we are convinced why that prerequisite of taking care of ourselves, the oxygen mask priority, is so crucial and so critical. With this, let us go a little bit deeper into that. As I say, you will probably keep seeing this quote again and again because it is so very important. This is where we need to make a shift from not just taking care. I want to be evolving through this experience. And how? How we will see. For that, we need to know a little bit more about some of the scientific concepts, how we can move or make a shift from just taking care of people to be evolving through this experience. So we'll see certain neuroscience concepts, only some important ones that will help us to make this paradigm shift of just going through the motion of caregiving to being evolving through this experience. So if I ask you, what is a thought? first thing that comes to our mind, if you have to define, it involves that word thinking. When we think, that is how it comes. But if I have to just put a very simple definition so that it will help us for our day-to-day implementation, I can give you a very scientific definition of what a thought is, what happens at the vascular level or at the electrical level or the molecular level when a thought occurs, none of that, but a very, very simple definition that will help us in implementing these concepts, which is thought is nothing but an idea. That idea comes to our mind and it happens again and again and again. When an idea comes, repeatedly it comes, we start believing our own thoughts. This is it. We start believing our own thoughts. This is where the problem lies. Because one of the most important neuroscience concept is all thoughts are not true. Thoughts are real. Thoughts are real because whenever we get a thought, irrespective of whether it is a real thought or if it's a false thought, whether it is true or false, positive or negative, it does not matter. There will be electrical changes in the brain and there will be certain chemicals that are released that we know. So thoughts are real, but not all thoughts are true. Just imagine the situation when we are taking care of somebody and connect this to Peanuts comic strip, Charlie Brown and Snoopy comic strip. If somebody is critically ill or terminally ill, always the fear of what is going to happen next. That fear has no bearing. We do not know, but it is a thought and it occurs again and again and again. If somebody is not critically ill, let us say, and you're still taking care of somebody, how long will this happen? How it is affecting us financially, how it is affecting us in all different levels, socio-economic levels, how taking care of somebody on a long-term basis is affecting us. And usually such thoughts will have that negative connotation. At that moment you need to remember, not all thoughts are true. How do I know? Or put that thought into a true or false test and the best answer you will get is, I don't know. That is enough for us rather than believing such thoughts. Especially when we are taking care of others, most of the times what we get or what we end up are negative thoughts. Most important for us to remember at that time, not all thoughts are true. Not only that, the next concept is that every thought releases a chemical. Be it a positive thought, neutral thought, negative thought. Positive thoughts will release positive chemicals and negative thoughts will release negative chemicals. Again, not only just this, and the next aspect is the relationship between our thoughts and our feelings. See, thoughts are fleeting, they come and go. But feelings last longer and feelings are expressed at the level of the body. So it's extremely important for us to understand this relationship between feelings and thoughts. Which is, when a thought occurs, a chemical is released producing a particular feeling. If it's a positive thought, positive chemical is released producing positive feelings, and if it's a negative one, negative thought leading to negative feelings. This is a cycle, it goes on. This, if we can understand and recognize that it is a negative thought and it may not be true, we need to be self-aware of our own thoughts. The self-awareness is the most important quality of human beings. So much so, that is why in our scriptures it says, Arive Guru. Arivu in Sanskrit is nothing but awareness. Self-awareness is our own teacher. Others will know about our negativity or negative thoughts, but we won't be aware because we will keep saying there is a reason for this. We will keep giving reasons for such negativity or negative thoughts. So once we become aware of our own thoughts, that is when we have to catch and say, before it becomes a feeling later on will turn into a mood, and if that goes on, it turns into an attitude and becomes our personality. Without our knowledge, all of this will happen. So if we catch such negative thoughts or negative feelings and be able to stop this vicious cycle and be able to change our thoughts and feelings is the key for not just as caregiving as an example for anything, but we are talking about caregiving as an example, so we will stick to that. As soon as we catch such negative thoughts and negative feelings, we should actually remember this neuroscience concept about the relationship between thoughts and feelings and be able to stop that cycle and change that cycle. Because thoughts create feelings and feelings in turn create thoughts. When we don't realize this, what happens? We feel overwhelmed with whatever is happening. And the basis of feeling overwhelmed is the mother of all negative thoughts and feelings is, or an emotion is fear. We don't realize that. Fear is the cause of all the negativity. And that fear leading to either sadness or depression or anxiety and leaves us feeling overwhelmed with whatever we are having. Today we are taking the example of caregiving, but these are all scientific concepts, and this is true for anything that we go through in life. This is the same thing we go through stress at a professional level. This is the same thing we go through with interpersonal relationships level, if we have strained interpersonal relationships. Anything that we take, the concept would remain the same. But in context with caregiving, we need to be aware of our own negative thoughts and feelings and be able to change. When we feel overwhelmed, it is so hard, and then we need to recharge ourselves. As the saying goes, we cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So if our energies are used up, and many a times if we have taken care of somebody for a length of time, either a young person or an elderly person will be aware how tough it is even to get up at our own self-discipline of getting up in the morning and doing certain things. So we need to recharge ourselves because we can never pour from an empty cup. How do we recharge? I'm just going to leave because it is individual preference. either by physical activity, going for a walk, or somebody younger even doing a rigorous physical activity, yoga, or listening to music, or even shavasana for that matter, is one of the best ways to re-energize. And personally, doing japa or meditation is one of the best ways to re-energize ourselves. And this has to be done in a conscious way, not as an automatic, mechanical way. Because all of this, many a times we do it. But when we do it in a conscious way, then we know we are taking care of ourselves. That itself is enough for us to help us to recharge ourselves and re-energize, rather than going through this in a mechanical way, because we need to be able to choose this in a conscious way. Why is this? Again, because our energy is contagious. If we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't re-energize ourselves, whoever we are taking care of, if you're lucky, the person who is actually physically sick is not going to be negative. That is, you have to train yourselves not to be in that negative mode if you're a patient. That is a separate topic in itself. How do we evolve as a patient? We're talking about how do we evolve as a caregiver. Otherwise, their energy levels, we're going to end up having and get sucked up into that negative cycle. So we need to re-energize ourselves so that we can bring the positive energy around us. That is why the saying goes, when things change inside you, then things change around you. In a way, I think they say, yad bhavam tad bhavati. This is what it means. It's so important to energize ourselves. Even though we know all of this, there is something that prevents us. Something that prevents us to be a healer to our loved ones or to be evolving. If I just say this and give you certain tools, that is not enough, because we need to know. Just having this knowledge is not going to be enough, and we also should know what is it that is going to be preventing us not to be evolving or converting caregiving into becoming a healer. What is that? It's nothing but an acronym, what I call as ANTS, which is nothing but automatic negative thoughts. So the ANTS that you see in the picture is an acronym, automatic negative thoughts. And this comes because of innate negativity bias that is present within all of us. Because of this negativity bias, our brain and mind acts like Velcro for something that is negative. It could be a negative thought, negative feeling, negative emotion, negative experience, negative memory, negative perception, or negative belief system. Our mind acts like Velcro. Whereas for some things that are positive, the same mind and brain acts like Teflon material. You know, the Teflon material is what we see on the non-stick pan. And many times some positive things might happen, but it gets washed away. We need to understand this. I'm just going to touch upon this because we're going to keep talking about this again tomorrow and day after, and we're going to go deeper into this from many different levels. But what happens when we have these unchecked and unnoticed automatic negative thoughts or ANTs? They affect our learning. They affect our health. And they affect our entire life itself. because it's also unchecked and unnoticed until now. But after today, we are going to be aware of our own negative thoughts and we will be able to change them or convert them. With this, what happens? When we have too many of these ants, again unnoticed and unchecked, our mind acts like pendulum, going back and forth between past and future. And we are going to be so much concerned about future when it is filled with anxiety, or thinking about our good old days, which might lead to depression or sadness or regret of certain things. And whatever is happening in the present moment is not enough for us. In other words, this negativity bias or ants prevent us to be in the present moment, to be in the here and now, now and here. And all our brains, without any exception, all our brains is hardwired for these biases. Bias is nothing but another word you can say as partiality towards negativity. Without exception, everybody will have. We need to be aware and be able to change. So what happens because of this negativity bias? Again, our brain gets hardwired to escape being in the present moment. Our mind wants to be either in the past or in the future. Doesn't want to focus on the present moment. And as we get older, if we are not aware of this, take it from me, it will happen more and more. Not only as we get older, even if we are young, whenever we get stressed out, this is again what happens. We are never in the present moment, or even if we are in the present moment, we are not happy about it or not satisfied about the present moment. And the mind goes back and forth between past and future. So what do? We need to rewire our brain in two ways. What are those two ways? We will see. The first way is the brain has to be rewired to be in the present moment, here and now. And we also have to know how to be in the present moment. If you are in the present moment, again complaining, blaming the circumstances, complaining about the situation and others, that is not the way. How we should be in the present moment, we will see. So we need to rewire our brains to be in the here and now and here. That is first thing. And the second thing is we also need to rewire our brains to eliminate these automatic negative thoughts or ants. Two ways of rewiring our brain. And the two ways are two tools that we use are mindfulness and to be neurosculptors, which we will go through that now. One way of training ourselves to be in the present moment, here and now and here, is to be mindful of the present moment. That means the mind goes elsewhere, but we have to pay attention to our own mind and be highly focused and bring that mind back to the present moment, and in the present moment to be non-judgmental. Not blaming again, not complaining again in the present moment, but to be like a witness, to be non-judgmental. One of the easy ways is our breath acts as the bridge between this body and the mind. As soon as the mind goes to the past or the future, we need to be aware and bring that mind back to this level of the body by focusing on that breath at that moment. That is one of the quickest ways we can bring our mind back to this body, by using breath as the anchor. another way of looking at mindfulness is about we will be doing everything we're going to be doing, taking care of everything, whoever it is. But we will be thinking how tough it is. When is this going to be done? Or when will somebody can come and relieve me of this? All such thoughts, again thoughts of anxiety or stressful thoughts, in general about negative thoughts, and then I want to be doing something else, but I still have to take care of this. Such thoughts will automatically occur. So just to focus on the work at hand, not be thinking about what else should we be doing, but to focus and just do it. This reminds me of the Nike commercial, just do it. Whatever that needs to be done at that moment, just focus on that and just do it. Not be thinking about something else that needs to be done. Extremely important. This is where you will save lot of your energy when you can be mindful of what you're doing. So that is how we train our brain to be in the here and now and here. So the second way is by eliminating the ands, the automatic negative thoughts. Just being in the present moment is not going to be enough. We still will have those automatic negative thoughts because that is the way the mind works. Until and unless we train our mind to change those negative thoughts, that is the usual path of least resistance that mind will take. And by putting lot of effort, we need to be able to change such negative thoughts. And how do we eliminate those ands or automatic negative thoughts? By this concept of becoming neurosculptors. What does a sculptor do? Before, you can see that image of Hanumanji. Before the sculptor sculpted out that Hanumanji, it was a big boulder, right? Huge boulder of stone. He took away all the pieces of stone that was not Hanumanji, and he carved out all that extra stone, and what remained is what you see here is Hanumanji. In a similar manner, in our mind, all the thoughts about the future, all the thoughts about the past, and that anxiety and the stress, all such thoughts which are disempowering us, that is what we need to remove and keep focusing on the present moment. The job at hand, the work at hand, and everything else, just witness as you go along. This is the concept of neurosculpting, and that is how we actually become neurosculptors of our own lives. For the sculptor that you saw, he had separate tools, and the stone or the boulder was also outside of him. Whereas when we become neurosculptors, the tools are within us. And the boulder or the stone that was outside is nothing but our own brain and mind. And we are the sculptors. In other words, 3 in 1. We are the sculptors, we are the sculptures, and we have the tools within ourselves. What are those tools? These are the qualities of our conscious mind. The first and foremost is self-awareness, as I mentioned earlier, that we need to be aware of our own negative thoughts. First tool. Just being aware of the negative thoughts are not going to be enough. We need to use our free will, the power to choose, to replace those negative thoughts. So the second tool is our free will. Again, just that is not going to be enough. We need to have the discerning power, the discrimination power, the third tool, what we should get rid of, because it is very tough. We will never admit this is a negative thought we need to get rid of, because we will always will have a reason why I have this negativity. We keep, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, we keep, skip my mind. Anyway, we keep on saying the reason why we have this negative thought. And we want to hold on to our negative thoughts because it has come again and again and again and again. So by using our self-awareness, free will, our discerning power, and the focusing power, again extremely important, to be highly focused, to be able to get rid of these negative thoughts. These are our tools. These are our tools to become neurosculptors of our own lives. Once we do that, this is how we can get rid of a lot of those negative thoughts and feelings and emotions. And first, the negative belief system. And to be able to completely have faith and belief in ourselves and in the science. And what all I'm saying scientific terminology and scientific evidence to talk about all of this. This is what have been said in our scriptures actually. The terminologies we use are different, but none of these concepts are new. Because it is said in a scientific way, we don't have to belong to a particular religion to be able to accept this, because science is about commonality. It holds good for everybody. And also, it is going to be hard for us to be able to go to the scriptures, to go be convinced about it has been said in the scriptures, to be able to put that into practice in our day-to-day lives. But trust me and believe me, none of this is new, but the terminologies are different, the concepts are the same, and it has been said thousands and thousands of years back. But we have packaged it because all of this is new scientific evidence. Everything what I've been sharing with you all is evidence-based scientific research. So with this, I'll give you some practical tips and then conclude. First tip, as we have already said, that we need to take care of ourselves physically and especially emotionally. Physical tiredness, no matter, will be there. If we have taken care of somebody for a length of time, we know that is extra work. Even if you get hired help and whatnot, still it is extra work, and that will lead to physical tiredness. Physical tiredness we can overcome by a good night's sleep, 1 day or 2 days, or getting some respite from that. We will be able to take care of physical tiredness. But the emotional tiredness, mental tiredness, and the fatigue, and if we are not up to the level, again with our spiritual practices, that is when it will actually bring our energies down. So self-care is very important, and to be lifelong learners. That is why we are all here, to be able to learn some new things so that we can adapt into our day-to-day lives. And again, physical health can be taken care of directly by asking help from others, or get some hired help. Ask for help when it is not possible, whoever it is, one easy way. And to be in the present moment. We have just touched upon it today, and we're going to go deeper into this tomorrow and day after. How to be in the now, and to develop an attitude of gratitude again is extremely important, which we're going to be covering tomorrow. Not just because of caregiving, in general, how attitude of gratitude will help us to evolve and enjoy the process of whatever it is. No, not just about caregiving, everyday activities, how can we be happier? And last but not the least, to be doing the right thing each time and every time. Many a times we focus a lot more on doing things right. We are taught to do things right. It's even more important to be doing the right thing each time and every time. Doing things right will come through experience, through practice. But to be able to make the decision to be doing the right thing is extremely important. With this, I'm going to conclude. Today happens to be the birth anniversary of the 13th president of Ramakrishna Order. And I hold him in such high regard. That's why our Swamiji thought I had the Mantra Diksha from Ranganathananda ji. But today is his birth anniversary day, Swami Ranganathananda ji. And why? Why do I bring him here? Of course, I have high regards, and I had seen him as a little girl. And he always used to bring the scientific perspective. And his contribution is to bridge science and Vedanta. He has written so many books, and they've been published by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Not just our Ramakrishna Mission publications. Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan has published many of his books. And it's a very special day for me to be remembering him, wherein we are trying to bring the confluence of science and spirituality in understanding and implementing our day-to-day things like caregiving. And I would like to use this quote, which is, he has many quotes. I usually use his quote about, "Are you growing spiritually?" quote is one of my favorites. But today, in context, let's look into this. This says, efficiency and energy comes from emotion, not from intellectual knowledge, which can only direct that emotional energy. But the real impulse comes from emotions, and it makes you work at your best. What we are learning now is all about knowledge. But until and unless we do any work for that matter, be it may caregiving, be it may our spiritual practices, if we don't put our feelings and emotions into it, we won't be able to sustain. The energy that comes at the end of that day when we are done is because of those emotions and feelings. And that, as we know, it can only be with positive emotions and feelings, right? So it's a beautiful combination of knowledge and the emotions. A particular emotion here, especially with caregiving or anything for that matter, even mundane work as either cooking or our office work, career work, it doesn't matter. Can we do it with love? For me, this is the combination of Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga, we cannot come out of that. Anything that we do is action. We need to convert that action into yoga. So that automatically comes. And we are talking about the mind and how to train our mind. That is nothing but the Raja Yoga, right? The integration of 4 yogas, as Swami Vivekananda says, and especially here with this quote, with respect to what we are talking here, is combination of knowledge and love. Because especially the caregiving, we do it out of duty. It's our dharma, we say, to take care of our elders or the sick or the deceased. Yes, dharma is of very high order. Duty is very high level. But can we convert the duty into love? Can we do the same thing? No extra action is necessary for you to be taking care of that person, to be evolving. Rather than doing it as a duty, if we are taking care of in-laws, rather than doing it as a duty, just do it out of love. This is the secret behind how we can evolve. If we can understand this, how we can do anything with love through caregiving, this is the same equation that we have to put for any action, whether it is cooking, cleaning, taking care of our kids, raising kids, going out and working in the office. Any work that you do, this is the secret. This is how we can actually evolve. Because ultimately, only through love can we evolve. Not through hatredness, not by being stressed out can we evolve. Not just by doing it as duty. Yes, we can evolve to a high state, but even the highest stage is only when we combine the duty with love or convert that duty into love. Yes, doing dharmic actions are important, but when we combine those dharmic activities with love, that is how surest way to be evolving. That is how we convert just being caregivers to becoming healers. And rather than just doing out of dharma or duty or as a chore or as a way of getting that salary, because caregiving can also be as a profession, right? Rather than that, then we can actually be evolving through that. It's a beautiful quote. Caregiving often calls us to lean into love that we did not know that it was possible. See, did not say we have to lean into our strength. We have to lean or dig deep into our pockets to spend more money to be taking care, to lean into love, to be able to take care of our loved ones. And it is possible. And if you really see that, we can only evolve through love as caregivers. And certainly, if you pay a little bit more attention, that love word is also in that word evolve. can only evolve through love. Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Vasthare. So, we all meet tomorrow by 7 o'clock. You are all welcome tomorrow. See you tomorrow.